GeoBlasterGun.com is selling the 2024 version of the Jinming GEN9 M4. So you do get the metal gears. It's already an upgraded blaster, which I've shown you if you've watched that kind of stock video. Now I've done a few things to it, cosmetic and performance-wise. I'm going to talk to you about, tell you how to do. So obviously just going to this version is a big step up over the traditional Gen9 because you get those metal gears already in there, an upgraded motor, upgraded cylinder, everything. So it's just overall a better build, right? Now, I went and I put an M95 spring in. I did not do a separate video. I've shown so many spring change videos, and it's identical to basically any V2 gearbox when it comes to changing the spring, at least, right? Obviously, Gen 9 is slightly different, but when it comes to changing the spring, it's pretty much the same as you would on any of those. And there's plenty of videos I have out there that show that. So that's what I did performance-wise. That's really all I thought that was necessary, and it's getting some really nice performance if you watch the demo video. I also thought I have all these accessories that I haven't used or that I've used and then took off of a different blaster. I thought, well, let's start trying to use those a little more. So we got a really nice sling on here. So this is from a brand called Soma on Amazon. So you can go ahead and you can find that on Amazon. The link in the description that goes to the Amazon page has a bunch of lists of different types of products, right? Got a nice optic from Pinty. So again, reasonably priced optic that's around $30, $35. And I've got a list on there with kind of optics that are and accessories that are all good quality, but under $50, so they make sense for gel blasters, in my opinion. Did a little 3D print to put this little rail that goes on top of the handle. I was going to go with a different riser altogether, but there's not a ton of blasters that have the handle like this, right? Which I kind of call like a traditional M16 handle. Whether that's correct, I'm not sure. But so I thought, well, let's go ahead and let's do one of those rails instead. So printed that rail. There's already a hole in the middle of this, so you don't have to drill any hole to use something like that, okay? Now, out front here, obviously we had a 14 millimeter counterclockwise threads, so I just put a fake suppressor there. But then I wanted to go ahead and add something. I wanted to add some rails. So typically there's no rails on this blaster. So what I did, again, without having to actually modify it or cut or anything, I went ahead and I put some rails. I'll show you in a moment after I show you the flashlight, right? So put a top rail and a bottom rail because there's basically some holes along the top and bottom, which I'll pop them off and show you what I mean in a moment. So did that so that we could have here this canted flashlight off to the side, and then made a 3D printed grip where the pressure switch fits inside the grip like that, okay? So that way takes that and puts that down there. But let me show you what I mean by how this is actually pretty easy to do. So these were rails from some other blaster. They were actually from a blaster that was, not a great blaster. So I wanted to save them and utilize them. And let's see if I can pop this off. Yeah. So those holes were already there, right, on the handguard. So there's this line of holes. That's just the style, the look. And if you watched the previous video, you'd see that. So these rails just happen to be the perfect size to cover that whole area where those holes were. So I just went with some nuts and some washers, like some M4 screws, and screwed those down tight. And that way there was no modification, and that gave me a nice top rail and a nice bottom rail. And you saw right there how easy it was to release that. You're just going to push back. This is spring loaded, and you're going to pop it off. So those are some cool, easy options. Of course, you could always 3D print something. And normally that's what I do. These rails just happen to be ones I had on hand that fit perfect. And of course, you can even buy the size rails, and you could probably find a way to put those on if you bought like nice metal rails on Amazon or from one of the websites listed in the description that sell those accessories too. All right, so that's a quick rundown. Gen 9 2024 version from GeoBlasterGun.com, ships from USA, ships super fast. You should get it, in under a week. Did the M95 spring upgrade. That M95 spring is an SHS M95 that came from EMERBU Toys. If you order parts from EMERBU Toys, they do ship from China, so just know that might take longer. And then the optics Pinty from Amazon and Soma for the sling from Amazon. All right, so quick rundown of what I did. Nothing crazy, but does give it a nice, unique look. Gives you the option of putting a lot of different accessories since we're adding those rails, so you can do a lot of different things with that. Comments, questions, post them below. Like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and participate in those monthly contests on my YouTube channel where you can win over $300 in blasters and accessories. Thanks for your support.